Chica. So welcome. This is episode 16 now of the HCG diet interviews. I have Mandy with me today. She's done a few rounds of HCG, and we're going to talk about several things today. All of the regular stuff, of course. You know, everyone always wants to know about weight loss and inch loss and things like that. But we're also going to talk about the topic of body image, because that's actually how we ended up kind of being in touch a little bit more. So some of you may not know, a little while back I got an email from someone struggling with body image and adjusting to her new weight. Because you know, on HCG you tend to lose fat, you know, your weight fairly quickly, and she was having trouble. So I actually told her, I was like, you know, this is such a good question. I'm going to ask my email list, you know, how they've dealt with that. So I have actually almost 3,000 people on my email list now. So I sent that out, and I got all kinds of awesome replies from people just sharing like how they were able to adjust and how it is difficult, you know, doing that. And so anyway, she had a really neat reply, and so I was like, oh, we should talk about this in our interview too. So anyway, welcome, Mandy.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So before we talk about, I want to talk about the body image thing, like kind of first. But before we do that, let's just talk about like just some basic stuff. Like, tell me where you started with your weight. Where have you ended up? Just a couple basic stats like that.
Well, I started at 200 and I ended at 120. Of course, it took a couple years to get there, but with actual HCG, I lost 30 pounds. That was in the middle of my journey.
Gotcha.
And when I saw your body image question, I just jumped on it because I'm like, wow, somebody else went through that. When I was having issues with my body image, I didn't realize that's what was going on. Because right, losing weight so fast, your mind takes a while to catch up. I'm still dealing with it. You know, I realize that it does take a while for, you know, especially since I, you know, gained and lost, but yeah, it never really goes away. Adjusting to your new, you know, inner image or inner self with their outer self.
So what are like some things that you would think to yourself, or that you would find difficult about like the losing weight, like being in a new body? Like what are some things that you would actually find yourself running into?
Attention that you get from people.
I see.
The unexpected attention that you didn't get before.
Gotcha.
I noticed people were, you know, acting differently towards me, or just noticing me in general.
Yeah, and how did that make you feel?
I was almost questioned it at first, like, why are you doing this? Because I saw myself, I still see myself the same way. I look down and, you know, you don't notice how different you look.
Yeah.
And your clothes, of course, tell a different story, but yeah, the attention was the first thing I noticed that clued me into that I was changing.
Gotcha. And would that be like from people you knew or strangers, or both?
Both actually. Strangers, first the people I knew, you know, and especially since I was dropping weight so fast.
Right.
A lot of them were like, "What are you doing?" And of course, back then, when I first started, you know, back in late 2009, 2010, I didn't want to tell people what I was doing because HCG was very unpopular back then. Only recently, in the past, like maybe a year or so, has it been okay to say, "Hey, I'm doing HCG."
Right.
Because there's a lot of support out there now. Then there wasn't, so I'd start to explain, and I would just get all kinds of, you know, negative feedback. So like then I got feedback. Now I get support.
Yeah.
It's changed.
Right.
But and then even strangers, like when I answered your body image question in the email, it reminded me of a story. I walked into the Circle K that I go into every day, and I was, you know, getting my coffee in the back, and I overheard one of the employees telling a perfect stranger about this girl that comes in all the time, and she's lost so much weight. She looks like a completely different person. And in my head, you know, I'm filling my coffee thinking, oh, good for her. You know, somebody else losing weight. And then I came up from the back to pay for my coffee, and the employee, she goes, I was just talking about you. I almost wanted to cry. I was like, oh my gosh.
That was me.
That's weird. And I'm like, why? She's like, I wouldn't even recognize you if I didn't see you every day. And so that's when it started to hit me, you know.
Yeah.
This is a real thing. You
Yeah.
know, 'cause I remember waking up, you know, when I was losing the weight thinking it's all going to come back, you know. It was it's still tough sometimes. My clothes, whenever I go to buy clothes, I still gravitate towards the large sizes.
Do you?
Because yeah, I mean, I had my closet is arranged from when I was in my 150s, 140s, 30s, 120s. I still have trouble getting rid of some of the big clothes.
Yeah. So what is it that you're thinking when you think about that? Like when you gravitate towards the larger clothes, or like you said, in your closet, like do you still see yourself as being bigger then, or?
I and sometimes I do. I think just or it's just a fear of I might be that again one day.
I got you. So it feels more like what you've achieved is like temporary or something.
Mm-hmm.
I gotcha. Yeah, like you said, like you wake up like, oh my gosh, is it gonna come back? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or am I gonna just mess up? I know I'll never be 200 again.
Yeah.
But like when I first dropped my first 80 pounds and I was at 120, I thought I had a good handle on things.
Yeah.
But I was single at the time and I lived by myself. I didn't have to share my life or my meals with anybody. So I actually maintained for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and then I got into a relationship with my now husband, and I wasn't expecting to gain the weight back because I thought I could do it. But then, you get happy and, in love, and
Yes.
you just want to eat what they eat. And I stopped planning my meals, stopped getting on the scale, and crept up on me.
That happens, Yeah, I remember when I was newly married, I was thin when I got married, but yeah, it's like I had my little workout routine. I used to go work out late at night, but then when I got married, it's like I want to sit on my couch and snack with my husband now. That's what I want to do for fun because yes, I'm in love and I'm enjoying hanging out with my husband. So yeah, it's so true. It just your life does change and you have to like find your new normal, So yeah, that's true. Um, okay, so and then finishing up on the body image thing, tell me about the whole thing with the clothing when it comes to that.
Well, when I was, in 200 pounds, I was wearing a size 42 in men's. I pretty much gave up on women's clothes. I would shop, just big t-shirts, big shorts. And when I started to lose the weight, I was still wearing the larger clothes and I didn't really know how to dress for my body anymore.
Yeah.
So my mom had a good idea. She thought, let's go to Goodwill and just, pick out some dresses, and just wear them around the house, when nobody else is around, just to get used to it. So I thought that's silly, but I did it. And then, eventually I would start go out to public places where nobody knew me, and test my new body, test the new clothes.
Yeah.
And then I would, shop on Amazon or Torrid or for more girly clothes. And then I would, gradually start to work. And as they say, one day I just kind of look at me now.
Yeah.
And that's how I, got into wearing girl clothes and more size appropriate clothes.
I think that is a fantastic way to ease into it because it's true. Like you're comfortable wearing one thing, and then now it's like you feel like doing that is so not you in a sense because you haven't been doing that, and so it feels really uncomfortable. So I thought that was great. Like start out in your home, wear it around yourself, yeah, and then go where there's strangers where no one knows you. That's such a great idea. So that was your mom's idea?
Yeah, it was.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and then finally end up where people know you because by then you've kind of already adjusted to yourself. You've been in public with whatever it is on, and I think that's an awesome idea. I think I was actually telling you in our original conversation that's kind of what I did when I really like hats, but when I was like a teenager and I was when you've never worn hats and then you do, it draws attention. So, but yeah, you just have to get past that little thing where people see you doing something that they're not used to. And at first it attracts attention, but then they get used to it, So that's really cool.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I think that's great. I think it's a great way for other people too, because you're not the only one that I've talked with who wear men's clothes, and so maybe getting more girly could feel awkward, at first. So that's a great way. So I wanted to ask you now about your process with researching the diet when you first came across HCG, because when you discover it can be so exciting. What you read is you want to like kind of jump in and do it right away, but there actually is kind of a lot to the protocol. So I do recommend people research it for a while, and try to be patient. So tell me what you did before you started the diet.
Well, like I said, back when in 2009, when I first heard about it, I knew nothing about it. I didn't know how exciting it was, really. I got on the internet and, of course, all the ads, lose 20 pounds, 20 days. Once I got past that, and like the more I researched it, the more I learned, I realized it's not an easy, quick fix thing.
Yeah.
And it was actually like a hormone that I was going to be putting in my body. And I'm a researcher. I turn things inside and out over and over again before I jump into it. And, in some of the sites that were offering it, they were, hundreds of dollars. And I wasn't going to do that. I was looking for a do-it-yourself way. And so it just took me, I actually researched it for like 6 months.
Cool.
Just, day in, day out. And then I came across Pounds and Inches, Dr. Simeon's book. And I, downloaded that and read that front to back several times. And actually, since there wasn't, vlogs and support groups out there, that was what I went to on a daily basis to keep myself motivated. I must have read that thing so many times. I think I still have my original one around here somewhere.
Yeah.
And and anybody who's ever asked me, what are you doing, and shows genuine interest in it, I won't just, say, oh yeah, I'll get it for you, show you where to get it, let's do it. I actually told him, you know what, I'm not going to really answer any questions for you. Here's the book, here's the stuff, read it.
Yeah.
Learn. I go, it's like almost doing like major surgery. You want to know what you're going to be doing to your body because there are consequences, if you do it wrong.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I still think reading the original protocol is like mandatory, really. It kind of gives you the premise behind what it's supposed to be doing, so that you can because even if you make alterations to the protocol, at least you can do them in an informed way, if you have those basics. And I do think that's important. In fact, I just got an email yesterday from someone who was like, oh, I don't know what the difference is. My friend is doing HCG, and on the protocol she's on, she can eat whatever she wants as long as it's under 500 calories. And she's like, and then the list my doctor gave me, it's like so strict. Like, do I have to do that? And so I was like, okay, wow, there's just definitely still a lot of misinformation out there. Because yeah, if you're eating like cheese and I don't know, it could be really bad, and then people think the diet doesn't work, or so I think that's important.
Yeah, that's the number one thing I didn't want people to say it didn't work. Like, right. So understand first. So when, after giving them the book, and then, they come back a month later. So what can I eat? I say, oh no, you didn't read it.
Not getting off that easy. Yeah, the information is there. So yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you now about, you mentioned it a little bit with like getting newly married and stuff, but what challenges to maintaining weight loss have you faced? Because that's something I think we all go through. I think actually the vast majority of the women I've interviewed now have had a little weight regain here and there that they have to fix. And I honestly don't think there's anything wrong with that because I think it's real. I've had to do that myself, just because I haven't done HCG again, for over a year and a half. I've still made weight corrections. It's not like I've been the same exact weight every day, so real life happens. So what types of, so you mentioned being newly married was kind of challenging. How have you had those challenges and then kind of like found new ways to deal with them?
Well, that being the biggest one, I didn't realize it until this last round, my fifth, that I was challenging, just my calories. And with my P3s, I never really stabilized until this last one.
Okay.
So it was a daily challenge for me. I was planning all my meals, counting my calories, and also after doing HCG and P3, you learn about low carb, and then that delves into the ketogenic, lifestyle. So I got experimental, and I, went a little far. When I tried IF,
yeah,
I thought I could maintain my weight that way. Just after the wedding started, actually just in January, I would find myself, I learned how to deal with or lose weight really fast using keto along with IF. So Monday through Friday, I would lose 5 pounds, and on the weekend, I would put it back on. And then, during my cheat days, they started to bleed into Wednesday. and then it just spiraled out of control. So
let me stop you just for 1 second. So for anyone who's not aware, IF stands for intermittent fasting. And then keto, just because not everybody knows, and then keto stands for ketogenic, which is usually like a really high fat diet with like almost no carbs, right?
mm-hmm.
And you can, well, I'll put a couple links to learning more about that. But so give us exactly like how you would do that. You said during the week
I would do ketogenic during the week, where very high fat. I kept my carbs under 10% of my intake,
okay.
and my fat would anywhere like almost 85%.
Okay.
And I would drop weight really quick, and Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Then Saturday, Sunday, I would let myself relax, and
okay.
It's a lot mentally too. Always telling yourself no, and
mm-hmm.
waiting, and so I would let myself go, and it got really exhausting.
So the weekends you would have like cheat days where you would have carbs or sugar or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. And then you said with the intermittent fasting, how did that play into what you were doing?
Intermittent fasting, well, I started to tell myself, okay, so I'm gonna do ketogenic from noon to 8.
Okay.
And I was at work, so it was easy, but then I found myself I was able to wait till 2, so 2 to 8.
I see.
And I don't know what happened. I need to research it more, but mentally somehow my brain registered that as you need to eat a lot, gorge. You're not letting yourself eat for all those hours, so it's okay to have a 800 calorie meal or dinner.
Yeah.
Before you go to bed. And it just got to. I remember watching one of your videos about cookie.
Mm-hmm.
Being at a party and eating a cookie. It just one, and then not hearing what anybody else is saying. All you can think about is that cookie.
Right. Yep.
My gosh, I'm like, that's so me. I'm constantly thinking about what I'm gonna eat next, what I'm gonna eat later, planning my cheat days in advance, and it just. I think I realized I need to do another round of HCG when one morning, one weekend, I woke up early at like 6:30 to feed the cats or something, and there was one ice cream bar in the freezer, and I got it and I ate it before my husband woke up.
Uh-huh.
I was sneaking eating. After I was done, I'm like, I'm a grown woman. I can eat whatever I want. What am I doing?
Yeah.
This is out of control. This.
Yeah. So you found for you that this kind of created a negative scenario for you with and we're not saying that IF or keto is bad, but just for your situation and the way you were doing it was leading you down a bad path with food and eating.
Yes, I didn't research it enough. I don't think so. I think it's a good thing. I definitely want to try it again, visit it again. After I get my mental house in order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why it's like so important to that everyone's situation is unique and you really can't base it off what works for someone else. Because like you, a similar a while back before HCG, I had tried to do like a low carb during the week thing and then a cheat day. I mean that was a very common thing to do in the past 5 years. That you'd read online on other fitness blogs. But for me, because I had kind of a binge eating problem, it was kind of like what you said. I started like planning my cheat day too much and thinking about it all the time. And then when it would come, I would just completely blow it like way overboard, and like you said, then it would spill into another day because I'd be having so many cravings. And so it just, for me, I just realized I can't have like cheat days because it's just, I get out of control with it, So you have to realize what works for you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe later.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that story because I think that's important where we have to sometimes realize, that maybe something's not working well for us and then analyze what it is that's going wrong, So.
Yeah, I love that about HCG. It's so strict and it gets things back in order, and it's almost like that 21 day as a habit rule. It gets you back into that. I mean, and I'm the kind of person I need strict rules.
Yeah, it really is kind of like a cleanse in a way, Yeah, that's true. Cool. So tell me now. Let's move on to you mentioned how you didn't stabilize in your P3s before in other rounds. So let's talk about phase three. Can you tell me like what some of the lessons you learned from that, like what happened in the different ones and stuff
Well,
like that?
my first P3, I remember I was so scared to leave P2, and I was trying to research like crazy how to do P3. Up how should I up my calories fast? I wanted a meal plan. I wanted rules like P2 has.
Yeah, I know.
I couldn't find anything,
Yeah.
so I kind of clung on to P2 for a little bit, and I think I added maybe an extra 100 calories a day for the first week.
Okay.
Just barely inched my way up there. And my second P3, I remember I was like, okay, the weight didn't come back. So I instantly started on eggs and cottage cheese. I'm actually forced myself to love cottage cheese. I hated it before P3,
Yeah.
so that was something I learned.
Cool.
But I never got past 1,100 calories.
Okay.
Up until this last P3.
Okay. And then what would happen with your weight when you did that in P3?
I would continue losing.
Okay.
I mean, that's how I ended up losing them.
Important point.
Yeah. Because with the HCG, I lost 30 pounds, but overall 80. I kept dropping.
Yeah.
And they say 2 pounds over or 2 pounds under, go back.
Right.
In the first, I was like, no, this is great. You keep losing weight. So I just kept going down and down, and that's how I got down from 120.
Gotcha.
And I learned my body with P3s. In every P3, I've learned more about my body than I didn't know before. Like I knew that sometimes if I, slept in later, I would lose another pound. It was kind of weird. I don't know why, but I also learned how to cook on P3.
Cool.
But actually, back to what you said, upping calories. Watching you, actually, I learned when one of your videos you said, keep upping your calories in P3, just if you go over 2 pounds, do a steak day. So this last one, I decided to, push that envelope.
Yeah.
And I pushed my calories up to 1,500. And as long as I stayed under 2 pounds, and I wasn't losing, but I wasn't gaining that 130. I think I stopped at 136. As long as I didn't get to 138, I was okay.
Cool.
So I let my mind rest at that. Even if I never actually got to 137.
Yeah.
I dropped down to 133, and I kept upping my calories, and to my surprise, I wasn't gaining. So my body could handle the extra calories.
So about how many calories did you find you could eat without gaining weight in the end?
Anywhere between 1,400 to 1,500.
Cool.
Which is comfortable, mentally.
Yeah.
I can, planning my meals is so much more fun. I can actually, have my, dinner and dessert and a bigger lunch, bigger portions, have breakfast, and it's just so much nicer not to have to say no to so many things.
Right, yeah. Did that include exercise? Like, while you were eating that amount of calories, or no?
Yes, it did. Not as much as my other P3s, which I hike on the weekends, and during the day, Monday through Friday, I walk for 30 minutes a day.
Oh, okay, cool. So very basic.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, whereas before, my other P3s, I was walking a mile almost every other day.
Gotcha.
I would sometimes get to 8 o'clock at night and I'm like, I need to go exercise, because I was also counting my calories in, calories out. And I needed that deficit of at least, 700 calories.
Yeah, gotcha.
So
interesting.
I was exercising like a mad woman back then, but now I'm more relaxed.
Because you're married and you're happy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm like, I got one.
Like, yeah. That's too funny. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that, because in general, I do sometimes get people emailing saying, I'm losing weight in P3, is that horrible? Or, honestly, I don't think, if you want to lose more weight, I don't personally think it's bad if you lose weight in P3, but you also, at some point, if you do want to, be done losing weight, you do want to find what you can eat without gaining weight, right? So, and it's true, of course, we all want to be able to eat as much as we can without gaining weight. Right? Let's just be honest. Yes. So, it's like we don't want to have to only eat a little bit if we can eat more. So I thought it's cool that you can train your body, find out where that level is for you. I think my caloric intake is a little higher, I think because of my CrossFit. So I think I actually I don't actually count calories, but I know it's definitely at least 2,000. But my workouts are very intense though, so I think that could be why. But yeah, just finding that's cool. That's cool. All right, well, good. So that was that question. So you mentioned to me that you're a calorie counter. So I wanted to ask you what your favorite way to track calories is. Because I don't actually count calories, so people will ask me, and I'm like, I don't know. so, so how do you do that?
Well, I use a wonderful website called fatsecret.com.
Fatsecret.com.
Yeah, it's what I originally found back in 2009 when I first started counting my calories. So it's where I stuck. I have a history there, and it's so easy. And actually, I'm kind of addicted to it. I'm trying to get away from it.
Yeah.
That's another thing I'm trying to learn with just. I mean, I know what's bad to eat and what's good to eat. So,
Yeah.
but I'll in the mornings I get up and I plan my breakfast, lunch, dinner, and using that website, and it's just so easy to count calories that way. And anything that's not in there, I can just Google it, and then I can just enter it, and voila, it's there.
Cool. So you said you do that in the mornings for your whole day, pretty much?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because actually one of the reasons I'm put off from it is because, well, there's more than one, but I feel like it's a pain, and I have other reasons too. But so by doing it all at once in the morning, like, so do you always know like what you're gonna eat for the whole day then in advance?
Yeah, I don't vary much. Like my breakfast is always the same,
Okay.
and 2 eggs, 2 pieces of bacon, and I do MCT oil in my coffee. So that is always just a click, click, click.
Yeah.
There's my breakfast.
Yeah.
Lunch is usually the same too. Monday through Friday. Just celery, peanut butter, cottage cheese, or a salad, kale, whatever.
Okay.
That's the same. So it's basically my dinner that's usually the only thing that
The variable. Gotcha. Cool.
So it remembers, what you eaten the day before. So
Gotcha.
it's just plug it in.
So it's pretty simple. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Good. You mentioned that you had some muscle fatigue when you were on the diet. Did you figure out what you thought that was, or what might have helped resolve it?
Well, I think so. It's weird because when I first did my first couple rounds of HCG, I didn't have this muscle fatigue problem. It seems like with every round I do, it gets worse. I don't know if it's just my age or, before I did my HCG, I detoxed so much and then I didn't eat salt or whatever. I did find that magnesium, potassium, and iodine, once I got on those supplements, and started taking more of that in, since I wasn't getting it from food and drinking so much water too, I was probably flushing out more minerals than I was taking in.
Right.
And it was mainly my thighs. It seemed like each of my legs weighed like 100 pounds, and they just got so heavy. I mean, it made my round very tough, very difficult. And I tell my husband, he's like, you're not happy doing this. Stop doing it. I'm like, it's not the diet. I'm not hungry. It's my legs.
My legs.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I researched it. I couldn't find any, nothing out there on the internet about it. Some people would just say use cell salts, use up your magnesium, up your potassium. And some days I would think it was working, and other days no. But of course, towards the end of my round, I finally figured out that the iodine, the kelp pill, it seemed to be working. But it could have been a combination of just stopping or getting off P2 and starting to incorporate more food. I don't know.
Right.
We'll see if I do another round, if it comes back or not. But
sure. But it always goes away. But it always goes away when you get off of P2. Yes. I think I recall Dr. Simeon's talking about that, didn't he, in his protocol?
About fatigue?
Yeah, about muscle fatigue in the legs. Yeah, I kind of remember that. But
I'll have to go back and research that.
Yeah, I think he did. Like he had an explanation about fat from between your muscles being lost and stuff. But I don't know if that's true. But yeah, like he gave an example of like somebody who would like run up a flight of stairs, or like it would feel so heavy, and he would say it's because I don't know if that's true or not. There wasn't as much science available then as now, so I don't know, but I do hear that complaint now and then. I do think the important thing to know though is that it does go away when you get off of phase 2. So if anyone else has any ideas on how to fix that or what's causing it, please post in the comments below. Yeah, so we all want to feel better on HCG. So, but yeah, I just kind of had wanted to ask you about that. And actually, speaking of iodine, I've been doing a lot more research on it lately, just because it is really related to thyroid health. And so I hope to bring out some more information on the blog about that eventually. So I think it can be a really good a good thing for people, you know. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, good. You know, are you
Cool.
up? Are you down? What are you down? Just a quick text every morning. It was great. You know, I'm helping my cousin now, and
Cool.
it's, you know, having someone else to answer to. Accountability is important, you know,
Yeah.
because I was never a cheater, but at the same time, when something goes wrong or it went up, you know, you go, okay, let's dissect it. What'd you do yesterday?
Yeah.
You know, it's good to have a buddy to go through.
That's great. Yeah, you really can't underestimate having support in whatever way it is. Like, yeah, if you can find a buddy, that's awesome. Or like for me, that's why I originally started vlogging on YouTube, and I, you know, never had plans on making how-to videos. I just was on there, like, yeah, needing support. Like, hi, you know, I lost a pound, and or oh, I cheated, and you know, and yeah, and then people would, you know, give their input in the comments, and yeah, it's just giving air to your feelings, or like you said, saying what happened, whether it's good or bad, you know, and it helps you like get back on track and feel more positive. So yeah, that's true. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on here today, Mandy. I really appreciate it, and I hope things keep going with your happy marriage. and yeah, it sounds like you're doing really well. And yeah, everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for our next episode 17. And that's it. You guys take care.